recently I wrote a thing comparing payment processing to the game of football. In it, I referenced Al Pacino, Any Given Sunday, Game of Inches. So I've committed fully to this metaphor, which is why now we're in my basement gym while I'm holding this football. But really why we're here is I'm going to be showing you how to calculate your payment decline rate in raisin and how those numbers stack up in that game of inches, because, metaphors are fun, but data is a little bit better. So let's get started. And so the piece, which is right now up on our website at raisinsoftware.org, is basically about two things. First, what are all the steps under the hood that an online donation goes through between the time a donor clicks submit and when they see a message back, "Thank you, your donation's been made successfully," or "Your donation was declined, please try again." And further, why is it that we see such a variance between the number of donations that are processed successfully between one payment provider and another? And there is a variance. So for example, with Raisin Payments, we see less than 3% of donations declined, compared to some of the legacy providers that we work with, where that percentage of declined donations can be upwards of 13%. And I'll show a little bit later on how we actually get to those numbers, or how you can get to those numbers. Now, the piece was inspired by TSG Payments' annual letter. TSG Payments being a sort of consultancy in the payments world. And in their annual letter, they compare the payment space to a game of inches. That is, organizations or companies that are winning in this world aren't making one big strategic bet. Rather, they're stacking up a whole bunch of small advantages or inches. And in the aggregate, all those little gains end up to big wins. And so the framing reminded me a lot of Al Pacino's speech, and here's where we get around to that football metaphor and why we're here in my gym, in which he gives a really inspired speech before a football game comparing life and football to a game of inches. That is, you're 1 second too late and you miss a tackle. You're 1 second too early and your guy gets by you. And in the end, those little inches can lead to touchdowns. And those touchdowns might be the difference between winning and losing the game. It's a really inspiring speech. Gets you real fired up. I encourage you to look at it. But it also is a nice analogy here insofar as it compares both or analogizes both the macro that TSG Payments talks about, winning the game or having a whole bunch more successful transactions, to the micro. And that's like an actual, all those players and steps that an online donation goes through with your payment provider after that donor clicks submit. So this is actually like a little bit of a game of inches insofar as after a donor clicks submit on one of your Raisin sites, it goes to the payment gateway or through your payment provider and passes through a bunch of these handoffs. And truly, they're like handoffs of a football, back and forth until they get that message back. And so this is where the technology that your payment provider has, or those little advantages they have, can matter. So things like, a smart retry after donations declined, or the way that they package the data up and the level of integrity it has, that stuff can matter. So the scoreboard, or the thing that we're looking at in determining success in this game of inches, is both acceptance rates, that is the number of successful online transactions that you're receiving over the total number of accepted online transactions, and or the decline rate. And so that's the number of failed or unknown transactions, unknown being gifts that the payment gateway actually never returns a response on based on some timeout failures on their end, over the total number of online transactions attempted. And so in Raisin and in Raisin Analytics, it's really easy to calculate these. So let's head in there and check out how. So where I am, just to start, I'm in the reports tab. While there's a lot that we can do with respect to like campaign dashboards and organizational dashboards, in this case, the transactions report and the transactions data set that it pulls off of are really helpful in getting a sense of all of the transactional activity that has taken place within whatever time series it is that you've selected. So you'll see here, for example, we can take a look at transactions of any status, including things that are offline, and any payment method here that might also have taken place on the system. And this will get us to like that total number of transactions that might have been attempted within whatever time period it is that you're looking at. So to do so, or at least to start, we're going to make sure we're looking at anything that happened online. So let's, over in our statuses here, get rid of offline, get rid of pending, because those obviously haven't happened yet. We can keep canceled, because those are anything that might have been canceled due to like fraud, or maybe it was a refund, failed, successful, and then that unknown status, which is effectively the same as failed, because it's an instance where we never got a response back from your payment processor. As well, we're going to get rid of any payment method here that could not have occurred online. So just getting rid of those offline types, keeping credit card. Now, I'll make a note, if you are using Raisin Payments today, make sure in this payment methods, you are selecting Apple Pay and Google Pay, because those digital wallets are accepted online. So to start, you'll see those filters being applied. If we hover over any of those pink dots, you can see where the charts and where those filters have been applied. And what's kind of awesome is we already have a chart here called payment statuses that is breaking down the value, at least right now, of those failed, successful, canceled transactions. So you can see this is quite high, but what we're actually looking at right now is a sum of the amounts. So for the purposes of doing like a count, right, we're going to switch that up. So I'm going to go into edit mode. Where you can personalize any dashboard. So this is things like changing column header names, or, changing some of the aggregations, which is what we'll do, or even changing how charts look and feel. You have a ton of personalization at your fingertips. So let's go in and edit this chart first. So you can see off to the left, here's some of the various categories and values. In this case, we're looking at transaction statuses here, and then value. And so it's summing up the totals of the transactions amounts. I don't want that. I'm just going to count them up. So we can do number, right, of transactions that have occurred. And you can see the chart flip as we do so. What we can also do, just so this is a little bit more readable as a percentage, we can change this to a pie chart. And here we go. We can see right away 58% of transactions attempted were successful. Not great. 48 or almost 39% of transactions were declined or failed. Also not fantastic. These numbers, I should say, are real. This is a real client. And are well below the benchmarks that we'd expect. In general, you want your failed transactions to be 5% or under. That's considered excellent in the space. So let's save the chart here. If we wanted to, you could go and, download it into various formats if you wanted to analyze it further, or bring it in to like a meeting, or maybe even schedule it so you're receiving this regularly. So that's definitely possible. So I'm going to do that now. Let's give this payment processor the benefit of the doubt here a little bit, because as you may know, when a recurring donation is attempted, we will try 3 times. In case there is some issue or some error that's occurring on the first attempt, we'll try 3 times to reprocess. So what we can do, we'll apply another filter on this here for frequency. So let's just look at one-time transactions. Let's see how that fares. So let's apply here. You can see things have switched a little bit in terms of percentages. 82% successful, 14% failed, which is still not fantastic, and well above that 5% benchmark that we would hope to see. So again, we could take this, download it, bring it into whatever format you want, just to share with the team or surface, or maybe if you want to chat with us about how you can improve your payment processing, feel free to share these stats with us. We can always take a deeper dive and are happy to talk payments, payment processing, football, Al Pacino, and help you improve these scores or your acceptance rates and decline rates in that game of inches.